my name is Dave Reske, CEO of Now Speed Marketing, and welcome to this edition of Marketing in the Now, where we talk about the best ideas in digital marketing. And my guest today is Scott Logan, who spent 20 years helping B2B companies grow revenue by aligning sales, marketing, and partners around what actually works. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Scott is currently the CMO at Amplify AI, which has created an AI-driven people enablement platform. And I'm sure we'll learn all about what that means during this conversation. But Scott and I have been talking about how marketing can use AI to improve sales process. And Scott, I just want to just open it up by asking you, what do we mean by that? What sales processes are ripe for AI?
Yeah, I think just in general, to take a step back, there's many parts of the sales process that marketing can step in on. Of course, it's, a huge portion of the top of funnel, but it can also help in different areas along the course of a deal in the sales cycle. So, for instance, if you're having a bottleneck mid-stage because you're not having enough of a certain persona in, or there's a persona that's blocking the deal. Well, what marketing can do is identify that, notice that it's happening, figure out what it is that sales needs to provide them in order to move that deal closer. And then instead of just saying, okay, we're going to provide that piece of content for them proactively, you can then say, we're going to step that up and bring them into the sales cycle sooner, include them sooner, be not proactive with the content at the moment they need it to get brought in, but you're working that relationship earlier because you know once you hit that spot, it's going to maybe tack on a few weeks or more into the sales cycle. So that's just one example of many, but I think that it's important to know marketing should be helping out in more than just building up a pipeline. They should be helping out all the way through to even post-customer campaigns and to expanding accounts.
So it sounds really powerful when done correctly, right? You're diagnosing the funnel and you're helping sales engage in different places. Is it in your experience, is that primarily done through good content? Is marketing providing better content to help salespeople, and we're talking B2B salespeople mainly, engage at different levels through the funnel? Or is it other tactics? Is it advertising support? Is it trade show support? Is it what kind of tactics are helpful in helping sales move through the funnel?
Yeah, so content is obviously a huge part of it. The understanding how to tell the story and connecting the sales reps to the story that marketing's telling. So marketing typically will do a bunch of research to find out what are the main pain points, listen to call recordings now that they can all be, transcribed, and AI can run through all of them to tell you exactly what types of customers are saying what, or asking which questions at different stages in the funnel. So obviously you want to narrate your story to align to that, but then train the sales reps to be able to continue that along. So you don't get this conversation rolling digitally with the content and how people are engaging and viewing content on your website. And then all of a sudden they get in front of a sales rep and they're starting from square zero or square one. They should pick up that conversation where it goes. So it's enabling the sales team to understand where in that top of funnel journey they are, what web pages they went to, how much time they've spent there, what they've downloaded, what emails they've engaged with, and have it all there in a snapshot so that they can continue that discussion, but then also enabling them with the sales leader to make sure that it is one cohesive story along the line. And no matter, which sales rep you talk to, they're always going to be able to pick up that conversation where the buyer left off, because that's going to be the best buying experience. And if you can align to the buying experience the best and not make the buyer frustrated with having to repeat themselves or having to re-educate other people with their journey, uh, you're going to have an advantage because you're going to provide, there's going to be far less friction in that sales cycle. And marketing can help with not just that content piece, but with tailored demos. So when you get to the demo side, here's where AI can come in. You can have AI say, hey, we're going to pre-build some demos that are tailored to a specific industry. But then if you take it one step further, you could have AI look at the calls, look at the transcripts, feed an engine that says, "Hey, here's the industry and here's the metrics that they're looking at," and then have that feed into generating a new dashboard view for the demo, where the dashboard populates with the metrics on the labels on the generic, data that's in there, so that when the customer sees it, they see the metrics that they care about in the dashboard, not just a sales rep saying, "And imagine your metrics in this dashboard."
Yeah, so powerful. So essentially, you're enabling the salesperson to sound completely personal, completely like they understand the prospect, understand everything that's going on in a very detailed way without the huge amount of effort that it would take to do that normally, right? So and we've all had the experience of calling let's say a customer service rep at a company and having to explain the situation over and over, right? But it sounds like what you're saying is like when you can have AI basically prep everything for the sales rep, they can come in and naturally know which pages they've read, what emails they've read, what their industry is, a little bit about their background, maybe even their LinkedIn profile, and aggregate all that into a briefing or a custom presentation. So the sales rep just sounds all knowing, personal, and like they totally get it. Is that the kind of the world that you're painting for us?
Yeah, yeah. So, in the traditional ABM world, you would typically maybe just for your one-to-one ABM campaigns, do that level of research because people had to do it, and you would tailor everything, but just for those key accounts that you've been working for a long time that will be worth it. But now with AI, you're able to scale that on your, one to few campaigns. You probably even wouldn't want to scale it to your one to many where there's huge groups of people, but at least on your one to few campaigns, you can now have the same level of tailored experience for the buyer all the way through the journey, as opposed to just those few key accounts for the few best reps. Now, everyone can take advantage of that level of customization in the sales cycle, where without AI, it just wasn't worth that time because there's only so much time to spend on that. And hiring more people for it would be too expensive. So AI has really been able to scale that.
So it sounds amazing. It sounds like a huge productivity boost for the salesperson. Take me through maybe, are there any specific AI tools that you used in the past that enable all of this, or is it more using systems that use AI? Are we talking about leveraging features and functionalities within a product like HubSpot or Salesforce, or are we talking about custom products, or are we talking about creativity on the part of individual reps using, prompts and ChatGPT? How does they actually get put together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's different layers depending on your skill set and how much you and your team has been using it up to that point. So if you haven't started using any kind of AI, I would say immediately start seeing what kind of content you could tailor with a general Gen AI platform just to scale your content production. Though I would suggest, which I just went to a AEO conference here, or like a little daily workshop thing, and it is better, and which we have seen in our experience as well, that if that Gen AI output is just the draft, and then a person goes through and edits it, humanizes it a little bit more. Just typing in "now humanize this" doesn't necessarily give you the output that you want. So it is valuable to have a human go through that. But like one CMO that I worked for years ago said, creating is the hard part. Editing is where the magic happens.
Mm.
And so if you can just have that first draft and then tailor it to the specific nuances that that maybe even a trained AI can't get to, do that first, especially for like your long form content, the blogs you put out there, things like that. Then the next layer would be, all right, well, we've been doing that. Let's find ways to do this at scale for whether it's nurture streams, sales rep cadences, uh, just generic branding nurture streams, where it's creating industry type content, and then it can be more company-based content for the sales cadences. And you can use the tools that you currently already have. I mean, there's some that are already built into like the marketing automation systems, things like that. And there are tools that have AI built into it that you're already using. Now, when you get to the level of what I was talking about, where you have maybe tailored demos or tailored custom assets where maybe there's a data sheet that you want a data sheet to not just be for finance, but it's for credit unions in your finance industry. Well, they use a whole different set of terms, even than banks, where they call their customers members. Banks call them customers, and so you can't have a credit union document say customers that has the same members. So you can then utilize all of those outputs into like a visual template, and all you would have to do is feed it the information for the industry, feed it the information for the pain points by loading a bunch of call scripts and call recordings and closed deal recordings of discovery calls with credit unions that you've had so far. And then from that engine that has that one sheet template can very quickly create these documents that are already polished in your look and feel that you've created to be put out in a very short order of time. Instead of maybe a few weeks to put that together, it's a couple of days to make sure that the data is correct and edited and that the formatting of the document is there. And I think that if you have a really high level of AI skill set in your team, which at Amplify, luckily there is, they've been able to take different tools like N8N and Claude and some others to be able to uh, tailor make these connections and pass code between the platforms to make what you want very quickly. But if you don't have that high level of skill set, there are fully baked tools out there that can get close or even provide that level of customization that you need to where it's probably going to be way better than what you're using today anyway. And so it's kind of like baby steps and adapting to the skill set that you have on your team already.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options and a lot of complexity. Let me just kind of walk through a couple of those that we talked about. Maybe just start with the marketing side. What are the skills that marketing teams need to develop? What are the muscles they need to be really good at in order to do this level of personalization and content creation and support for sales? What should CMOs be investing in from a people perspective to give them the capabilities they need to support sales in this way?
Yeah. The first thing that stood out, and conversely to how I've hired people in the past, is we hired basically, someone who's good at this on the data side and someone who's good at this on the creative side, who are just really good at self-learning things, and they're hustlers and they're attuned to technology. They know a basic amount of coding. They understand the sales and marketing process, and maybe they don't have those refined demand gen 5, 10 years of experience in how to build campaigns, but that's okay because you and the rest of the team already has that typically. So you need that skill set of someone who wants to be put in there, has this fearlessness when it comes to developing tools and creating stuff with new AI tools. And we had someone who was really strong in like social media marketing and had built some tools on their own for scaling their own content and just really with someone who you give them a couple of days, they're going to figure anything out.
Mhm.
And it's that person that ended up working out the best for us. Same on the data side, someone who is an intern went into take a position on the team just to say I'll do whatever. I just want to learn what the marketing side of the business is. They've done some of the big consulting firm internships before, and we just wanted to make sure that they were able to adapt the tools. So I gave them a project where take this really big PDF that was almost impossible on purpose to dissect and load into a CRM. And I said, hey, can you figure out a way to put all of this data from this 50 page PDF that we get from the conference on surveys from our top prospects uh, into a data format? And so she came back. I thought it was going to be in like a week or two. And she came back in 2 days and said, hey, I just loaded an algorithm into our ChatGPT instance and told it how to dissect the PDF for the different data formats. And we put it into a table. I'm like, what? And granted, the decent amount of cleanup did have to happen, but it was still only like a day or two of cleanup. So in 4 days, we had all of the data set we needed, completely standardized, ready to put into the CRM, where that would have taken easily 2 weeks of just manual one spreadsheet open on one screen, the PDF on the other screen, and click, 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 you go through it. Before AI, I would even hire someone on Upwork to go through and do that for cheap, so I didn't have to waste my time on my team's resources to go through that because I need them working on more high profile projects. So um, if you just get that person who is just fearless when it comes to AI and knows a little bit about coding and how it all works together, that's probably the most important skill set that I found to get the best results. The specific marketing experience mattered less in that regard.
Yeah, interesting. Because as long as you've got that core experience on your team, so they've got to be smart, they've got to be technical, at least somewhat technical. They've got to be innovative, and they've got to be able to, work with the team to get all that done. What about on the sales side? So it strikes me that if you're asking the salesperson to customize these interactions with all of this new AI prepared data. They're going to get a custom sales presentation. They're going to get custom briefings on the client where they're at. They're going to look at because you're going to know all of this material. What kind of training does the salesperson need? No longer are they going to be, and maybe they never were, right? The kind of person that could just give a canned presentation and try to close, right? Now they're going to be the kind of person that's going to need to be able to be aware of all of this other information. Is there training or experiences that the salesperson needs in order to enter this brave new world?
Yes. Started out on that process with just doing what you were saying, training the reps on it. And what I found was it was a little bit too daunting, even though it wasn't that different than your standard, here's your cadence, here's how you use it, let's do a little bit of role playing type of scenario. It really requires, I feel like, to do it right, a solid sales enablement person that not only continually supports the process and helps each individual rep with the level of detail in training that they need, because some reps don't need very much help at all and they're off to the races, and some need a little bit more hand-holding to get comfortable with the process and when to use it all. The other thing of that is jumping into the RevOps role and creating a structure where that information gets populated at the right time for the rep. So they either like check a checkbox that says, hey, I'm ready for this, and then the team goes and runs the exercise, or if you can, the automation runs the exercise. Though that's a little bit harder because it's good to have a human in the loop there to make sure that there's a quality control part of it. Because the sales rep, nothing against them. They're moving fast, trying to close deals. They're not going to give as good of a quality check as like someone from the marketing team or the content team. So, creating that infrastructure where it's in their own sales workspace view, it's in their own view of the account or the deal to make sure that it's very clearly stated here's the information you need, here are the stages in which they should be used, and here's how you use them. And, some deals will move faster than others, and they can adapt on that side of it on their own, but it's giving that support to where everything's at their fingertips. Ever since I started sales enablement, because I started as a sales rep in my journey to be a marketing leader, is I need to create a no excuses environment for sales. I need to make it so that sales no matter what their skill level, no matter how much they're paying attention to what's going on in, their training, that they're always equipped with the knowledge they need and they're always given the instructions in the format that they need in order to succeed. Because just rolling it out one time, letting it go and saying, all right, we trained you on it, here's a video recording of that session, it's not going to do the trick.
Yeah, uh, very powerful. So you got to make sure the salesperson's engaged, they know how to use the system. Maybe they're initiating the request. They know how to use the personalized information that's coming back. What happens if it's wrong? Like, what happens if AI, you do all this research, you put all that bit together, and it comes back to the sales rep, they try it out, they say, "Hey, Dave, I noticed that you're interested in this product and these are your challenges. And so today we're going to talk about this." And the prospect says, "No, that's not what I'm doing. What are you talking about?" So how do you kind of help the rep think on their feet, or is that just natural selling 101? They've got to be able to do that anyway.
I think it's a little bit of the latter. The person on the other end should see the effort. They're going to
Yeah.
see that it's more than just a generic slick, right? And, you know, I can't remember what methodology it's from, but you've heard the saying of the quickest way to get to a win is to get to know fast.
Mm,
So if they say no, this isn't really aligning to what I thought we were talking about in the last call, that's fine. As a sales rep, I was fine with that. I'd be like, oh, great. The door now opens for them to explain themselves because they have a strong opinion. They have an opinion enough to say no to you. And so they're basically waiting to share that information with you. And then that's the information that's really probably going to help the deal close faster anyway. So if that does happen, then you just go down that road like you normally would as a sales rep and get the details and the information and be quiet and let them talk as long as you can about what it is that caused them to say no. And now you're closer to the win. So I think it does help no matter what. If the content does hit spot on, then you can go to the next stages of that cycle, whatever your process is, faster.
yeah.
Um,
So
but I
the
think it's all a
core
benefit.
Yeah, so the core sales skills still have to be there. Listening, asking good questions, getting to know the prospect, building a relationship, building rapport, communicating the value, um, you know, techniques to close. So you got to have all those. And what you're talking about is marketing and AI coming alongside that salesperson and giving them deeper information, deeper insight into what the buyer's needs are, and
Yeah.
then giving and helping equip them faster. And it's really up to the sales rep to use that in those conversations to be as uh, to be as effective as possible, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, very powerful. Well, Scott, this has been a great conversation. I think we're entering a brave new world of this. I think it feels like it is the organizations that are embracing this technology and marketing leaders that are embracing these technologies that are really going to win in this new space. What do you think is the forecast for 2026? Is this all going to roll out to every organization? Is this going to be easy to do, or is it the forward-leaning CMOs that are going to be embracing this? And if you will get it right, how do you see this kind of rolling out in 2026? Easy, everybody's doing it by the end of the year, or hard leading organizations who are investing smartly are doing it well through 2026?
I don't know if it's ever easy because you have to constantly be second guessing yourself, constantly be looking at what's out there. I mean, I'm probably even a few months behind on what's new and out there anyway, even though I'm always looking at it. So I think that it's going to change so much that maybe in 6 months, what I am saying now is best practice, and that's just commonplace. I didn't invent these things. My team and I came up with them. I learned some from some sales reps from other companies that I'm friends with. And what are you doing? How are you using AI? And I think it's just a network effect of always staying in touch and in the network of who's doing this, who's doing it well, how are they doing it, and how can I adapt it to what I'm doing, and keeping your finger on the pulse on it now more than ever. It's not like when, demand gen best practices were first being developed 15 years ago and You could kind of learn the basics and adapt it and be good for a couple of years. This is changing quarter by quarter, essentially. So it's just a matter of always paying attention to it. And if you're not paying attention to it yet or using it to a higher level yet, there's still time.
There's still time, but we better get started
Yeah,
because the
exactly.
competitors are using it. So, Scott, it's been a great conversation. If people want to connect with you, learn more about you or your company, talk more about this environment, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me, that's great. You can just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. The handle on my page is Scott J. Logan. So go ahead and find me on LinkedIn and be happy to help you.
Awesome. Scott, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, David.